Ed Orgeron was kind of harsh today on Jake Peetz. He praised Durante Jones. He praised the whole defensive staff for what they did. He praised Greg McMahon for, what they were able to do. Atkins had a good game punting the ball. You obviously wish you would have gotten to see Cade York maybe kick a couple field goals, but they went for broke, obviously, going for it on a bunch of fourth downs. But he praised McMahon for how they did. But he said, look, there's still a lot to be left desired with Peetz. And he said after 9 weeks or however many it's been, 9 games, so they don't even have an identity on offense. They thought that running the football could be an identity, but then they don't really have many answers in the passing game since then. And especially with Butte out, here's a stat. Butte, right now, as we record this podcast, leads the SEC in touchdown catches. He hasn't played since 4 games ago now. So everyone else is through 9 games. He had 6. He still leads the SEC in touchdown passes. When he's not in there, the passing game is just not going places. So, and you've got young talent at receiver, Besh, Brian Thomas, Neighbors. We've seen Dre Jenkins make plays in games. We've seen Trey Palmer make plays in games. Right now, it's just evident that the quarterback's not getting it there to him, or the offensive play calls aren't setting him up for success. Whatever it is brings us to this, the news of the day kind of out of the press conference, Billy. Well, we need to explain how this all plays out because it sounds weird when you say it, but Garrett Nussmeier will play now, and they are going to play him in significant snaps against Arkansas on Saturday. And that may not sound like big news. Obviously, Max has not been playing great, so you're going to give your freshman backup a shot. But here's the catch. A week ago, they said that, talking to the Nussmeier camp, that Garrett could only play in 1 more game. Any more than that, he burns his red shirt. Well, they had 4 games left. Bama, Arkansas, ULM, a non-conference game, and A&M. So I think the thought from the family was, okay, if you can tell us he's getting extended reps in a game, it would probably be the ULM game. So we'd like to see him play then. Any other game, he's not going to go in. That was sort of the plan. Well, he doesn't go in against Alabama because the plan was for him not to go in and just play a quarter or a couple of drives or a drive. And all of a sudden he's maxed out on playing time. Anything more would burn a red shirt. He goes on Sunday and tells Coach O, hey, Coach, I don't want a red shirt anymore. I've talked to my dad. I want to play. I want to be able to play this week. I want to be able to play in these 3 games moving forward. I don't care at all about a red shirt. Well, then obviously O shares that Jake Peetz and Doug Nussmeier talk on the phone. The OC obviously, and Jake is, Doug is Garrett's father, who's the quarterback coach for the Cowboys right now. They have a phone call conversation, and he didn't go deep into details on that, but it's very clear that the end of that conversation was the OC probably letting Garrett Nussmeier's dad know, yes, we will give him a shot to play. Yes, he is going to get 50. He's going to have a shot this week in practice. Orgeron said they'll give him 50-50 reps. O said Max will start the game, but he said Garrett's coming in the first quarter, and Garrett's going to play significant snaps. And whoever they think plays or performs better or handles things better across these next 3 or 4 practices this week is the guy that's going to get the lion's share of the playing time against Arkansas. So it sounds weird. It did when O says it as, I keep saying Max. Garrett's dad called the OC and demanded he play, or didn't say demanded, but said he wants to play, and now we're going to let him play. It all boils down to this idea of a couple of weeks ago, they were firm on saying, hey, let's let him keep his red shirt, play him a lot against ULM, let Max play the rest of the way. I think the competitor in Garrett, and Billy, you covered him in high school. I bet Garrett just left that game pissed off that he was sitting on the sidelines the whole time when he thought he could have gone in there and done something. And because of that, the next day he tells his dad, hey, look, scrap it. I don't care anymore about a red shirt. I want to play.
Yeah, and it's funny. So I'll share some things on this from just a couple things after the game. One, O did say Garrett was mad that he didn't play. And I don't blame him. I mean, he got time against Ole Miss, which was a team that was up. And the game was over. I mean, there was no way Garrett Nussmeier was going to lead a, however many point comeback, and LSU was going to win that game. Then you get to the Alabama game after a bye, and Max plays poorly. And it's coming off a week where, he practiced and he was healthy enough, and the shoulder is fine enough to play, but he didn't get anything accomplished, offensively as the quarterback. Very little. And you felt like, and I'm not saying LSU would have won by putting Garrett Nussmeier in against Alabama, but there was nothing going on in the passing game. And if you're going to commit to the run like they did, there really wasn't much hurt. And especially if you're looking for significant snaps, trying to win a game and upset a team on the road by throwing in Garrett Nussmeier. And so Garrett was upset that he didn't play. obviously Shea just broke it all down in terms of, the dad, Doug talking to, Coach O and Jake Peets and things like this. And, I think that Garrett is one super competitive. He wears his emotions on his sleeve, quite honestly. And at the same time, I think he recognizes that at this point in the season, with how it's gone with Max Johnson, he can play and he thinks he can do a better job. And I think that's what boils down to Garrett going to Ed Ogeron and saying, I want to play. I was unhappy that I didn't play against Alabama. And it's not one of those things where, you got a star quarterback struggling in the NFL and the backup is, nipping at his heels and it's pissed off. I hate that guy. I should be starting. It's just, look, I think I should play. I want to play. I was mad I didn't get a shot against Alabama. And that's Garrett. And, I think with them now committing to playing him, looking back, probably should have thrown him in against Alabama and see how he did. I know that wasn't the plan. They wanted to be careful with the plan. But I mean, at the same time, if Garrett Nussmeier's last game was LSU, last game before redshirting this year was going down swinging in Bryant Denny and letting him get a shot, I don't think Garrett Nussmeier is upset about that. I really don't. He got a shot against Alabama. He either leads them to a win or they didn't get it done, but he got to play in a huge game against the number 2 team in the country. That's pretty good. That's a fair trade. Now you got Arkansas, ULM, and Texas A&M. And for Garrett, this is an opportunity for him to put some really good film out there, make some mistakes, learn, do it against two SEC teams, get a game against ULM, which he's going to see some time in that one for sure, and see where the chips fall. And he then has that tape for the next coach to review now that he would have played, some serious competition along with playing Ole Miss. So for me, I totally get it where Garrett's coming from. I understand why he felt comfortable going into Ed Ogeron's office and doing this. I think if Ed Ogeron wasn't leaving and Matty B, chimed in on our chat that we've got going, if Ed Ogeron wasn't leaving after this year, I think he sees, a lot more time, this season going forward already. I don't think they're sitting there saying, well, maybe we don't hold them out against Alabama. I think they're saying we're trying to win games here, trying to make a statement. Garrett Nussmeier is a guy we think can get it done. And they've said from the beginning that he has come in and impressed, whether it was him enrolling early, whether it was over the summer in fall camp. Garrett, the offense was completely different in fall camp scrimmages. He was throwing it. The stats were like, Max doing kind of efficient. I feel like 11 of 15 was thrown out there. And then you got Garrett going like 25 of 42 or 48 or whatever, just slinging it around the yard. So
And that was against the second and third stringers, and evidently they're pretty good. They just shut down Bama.
That's a great point, Shea. So, I'll give it to you. I'll give you Matty B's question, and he can chime in if you'd like as well. If Ed Ogeron was not leaving after this year, would this have been handled differently? And would you have put him in against Alabama regardless of if the plan was not to play him?
I wouldn't have. If the plan was not to play him, then I'm not putting him in. If the kid in his camp are saying, like, look, I want to just play one more game. I want to keep this red shirt. You're not going to be the head coach beyond this season. They would have never said that, I don't think, had he still been the head coach. Like if they were out there competing and you knew that I was staying, I don't think the Nussmeiers would have ever worried about if he was playing right now or not playing right now. I think that sort of came up after news broke of Orgeron's termination. And then they look down and say, okay, if he can just play one more game and still keep his red shirt for this next staff, then that's a good thing. And I think that was sort of the plan until it sounds like Garrett's competitive edge was only able to be sucked in for about a week before he told his dad, I don't care about that. Let's just play. So yeah, I think that had they if this wasn't O's final year, if he wasn't getting let go at the end of the year, that means they were probably playing okay. And that doesn't necessarily mean Max was doing great. So I think Garrett probably would have gotten a shot or more of a shot by now, or most definitely would have gone in the Alabama game. I think the only reason he didn't play versus Alabama was because the Nussmeier camp said that we don't want him playing in any game except the one where he gets extended action. Obviously, they reversed the course on that. We'll see how he does this weekend. It's been a fun little roller coaster there, and it'll be fun to watch this weekend. I'll tell you this, and this is coming from a coach on the staff who doesn't have a dog in the fight. It ain't his position. This is not one of those guys I even think who might even be here next year. I'm not sure. I don't know what the new staff will look like, but we were talking and he was just giving me the fair and balanced. And this was during the bye week. So this wasn't during the middle of all this Nussmeier. This was pre-Bama. He said, look, everybody said in the offseason this one was close. He said, it's way more close right now. He said, in the spring, he said Nussmeier was throwing picks, 7 picks in the spring game or whatever. Like he just let it fly. And at the time, he thought that he was behind Finley and Max. And when Finley left, they said Nussmeier really buckled in. You started to see him really take things seriously in terms of, hey, I'm the next guy up. And then he got a taste of some action. But they said even over the past month, and it might be a little blood in the water type thing that Garrett sees, hey, look, Max isn't lighting the world on fire. Like if I keep buckling down, I can figure this out. There are things Max does and maybe Max sees, and this is coming from a coach, that Garrett's young. Max could finish his season. If he starts the rest of the games, he has 14 starts. Garrett has 0. So there are things that come with the game and the flow of it and the understanding that Max is better at than Garrett. There are things Garrett's better at than Max, one of them being he's got a bigger arm than Max does. So, we saw when they put Garrett into the game, he knew that people were saying, well, Garrett can throw the deep ball because he just went out there on every play and was literally waiting to throw it as deep as he could. He was trying to push it downfield when the rhetoric was LSU can't push it downfield right now. So you've got a kid who I think knows he's got the arm advantage and he's got to figure a way to close the rest of the gap, whatever that gap is, however minimal it might be. But I am more interested than I was previously for the LSU Arkansas game on Saturday. I think this one makes it pretty intriguing now that we're going to get to see Max knowing that Garrett is going to play. So Max has got to rise his level of play. And then Garrett, finally getting his chance to go out there in an SEC game. And he played against Ole Miss, but this one is going to be like in the first quarter.
Well, and, I'll make one joke and then one final thing on Nuss. Jake Peetz loves to roll those quarterbacks right. I mean, Garrett Nussmeier's a righty. That should bode well for
Garrett. Will be rolling left all game. Just watch.
We don't get coordinators at LSU, but Ed Ogeron might make Jake Peetz available if Garrett Nussmeier comes in and just rolls him left all day.
No.
And then, so final thing on Nuss, I was on the field after the game, and players were walking out, and Neil Farrell and Sony Fanua are kind of taking everything in. For Neil, this is his last game in his home state playing. Had a huge part in the defensive performance, and he looked like he was emotional, kind of taking it all in. Ed Ingram, one of the last guys off, Austin Deculus. But right next to Austin Deculus was Garrett Nussmeier, just kind of patting him on the back of the head. I don't know what he was saying to him, but
Deculus was in tears.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I couldn't see if he had his helmet on. I couldn't see if he was in tears, and it wouldn't surprise me the way he's battled for so long in his career and how much it means to him. But Garrett was right there with him, just patting him on the back of the head and just walking with him. And, that's the type of guy that Garrett is, whether it was 7-on-7 high school games, he is right there. And look, I mean, Max is you get him in interviews and he's kind of quiet and for the most part, very businesslike. And he is a supportive teammate and all those things. But, Garrett, like I said, very visible with his emotions, how he handles things. That just kind of stood out to me. And that was long before, Ed Ogeron said on Monday that, Garrett is now going to play in extended snaps, and we'll see what the offense looks like. But Garrett's not going to hold anything back, and it's certainly going to be very interesting Saturday when LSU faces Arkansas with a quarterback controversy. So,
yeah. Now, and look, we'll talk to O on Thursday night too, and Friday's a walkthrough anyways, so they'll have today's practice, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and then we talk to him right after Thursday. So I'm guessing Thursday night, Orgeron is going to have a good feel for what Garrett's playing time is versus what Max's is. So I guess we'll stay tuned on that end.